Hello and welcome to Time About the Movies Flashback, where today we're taking a look at the 5 films released on April 10th, 1987. 4 new films, 1 classic movie brought back to theaters. So let's get right to it. Let's go ahead and start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is, of course, Michael J. Fox in the comedy, The Secret of My Success.
Look, I like you. I really like you, but I gotta tell you, I become seriously and emotionally involved with someone who isn't my aunt.
I forgive you, Bradley. Listen,
there's someone else in my life.
I got it. I don't care. There's someone else in my life, too. Maybe we should introduce your girlfriend and my husband, then we both have the same people
Look,
in our life.
I don't want to get rough with you, but I'll belt you around if I have to.
Ooh.
Oh, Jesus. Vera, I'm gonna get fired. Give me a break.
Don't whine, Bradley. Life is too short. Before you know it, you'll be 25, wondering where it all went.
So Michael J. Fox plays Brantley Foster, a well-educated kid from Kansas who has always dreamed of making it big in New York. On his first work day in New York, he's fired by a hostile takeover and learns that jobs and girls are hard to get. When Brantley visits his distant uncle Howard Prescott, played by Richard Jordan, he runs a multi-million-dollar company. He's given a job in the company mailroom. Then Brantley meets Christy Wills, played by Helen Slater, from Supergirl, of course, who happens to be one of the top executives. Brantley sees how poorly the company is being run and decides to create a position under the name Carlton Whitfield to influence and improve the company's operations. Soon things get unexpectedly out of hand, not in the least because of his aunt, Margaret Whitman from Major League, and his girl, and leading a double life. And, let's get to the big elephant in the room here, and, this is not a very good movie, and not because of Michael J. Fox. I mean, the guy is trying, but when you have to be put in situations like what I'm about to show you here, even if somebody's charismatic as Michael J. Fox, can't make this work.
Look, I like you. I really like you, but I gotta tell you, I become seriously and emotionally involved with someone who isn't my aunt.
I forgive you, Bradley. Listen,
there's someone else in my life.
I got it. I don't care. There's someone else in my life, too. Maybe we should introduce your girlfriend and my husband, then we both have the same people
Look,
in our life.
I don't want to get rough with you, but I'll belt you around if I have to.
Ooh.
Oh, Jesus. Vera, I'm gonna get fired. Give me a break.
Don't whine, Bradley. Life is too short. Before you know it, you'll be 25, wondering where it all went.
That's his aunt! That's somebody in his immediate family. Like, I don't care if it's the owner from Major League and all that type of stuff, and it's a beautiful woman. Like, that's part of his family. Like, I mean, that's the first thing. Second of all, that's one of those things where replace the genders around there. What if it's the guy doing that to a woman? And not really much of a funny thing, is it? I mean, I guess they did it because, hey, if it's the other way around, then it's comedy. Well, no, not really. And in fact, that's part of the major problem with the movie here. Like I said before, Michael J. Fox is a good comedic actor. I mean, the guy proved it with Family Ties when this was coming out. But at the same time, it can't save a movie like this because he really isn't given a whole lot to do here that really shows how great he can really be here. The script overall is terrible. I mean, this is a script that literally feels like it's been sitting on a shelf at Universal for so many years, and somebody realizes, well, hey, we got Michael J. Fox. He was just in Back to the Future. Clearly, he could be the guy that can save this movie. And I guess in some ways they were kind of right because this thing was a big box office success. I mean, this was the first major comedy Fox had started since Back to the Future, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he'd been some other smaller movies like, actually, now I'm curious, because I was going to say he was in Casualties of War and Bright Lights, Big City, but that came well after Back to the Future, so now I'm kind of curious. Okay, Teen Wolf came after that, but I guess you could say Back to the Future and Teen Wolf, and then after that was Light of Day, the drama he did with, I think, Joan Jett, which comes out later this year, so it's earlier in the year, so we'll get to that eventually before the year is up. But the problem with the movie is that it's not really all that funny, and there's a lot of good people in this movie. These actors are really good. I think Helen Slater kind of gets a bad rap because she was in Supergirl, and that movie wasn't really that great overall, but it really wasn't her fault. She's trying her best to save that material, and that's a great performance for her in that movie. Just a badly written character overall. And again, kind of in here, a good performance in here, but just a badly written character. I do buy the chemistry between Fox and Slater here, but I can't buy the chemistry between Fox and, Margaret Whitten as his aunt, which, yeah, still Ewie, and, yeah, but, like, Richard Jordan ends up having an affair with tries to have an affair with Fox's girlfriend, too, and it's just kind of like, so much is going on here. I get they're trying to do... You can tell this was written a long time ago. This feels like a screwball comedy from the 1940s and 50s, which back then probably could have made this work overall, but as it is, yeah, it's one of those movies. I saw this in a Michael J. Fox DVD collection I got back in the day. Like, used to have this... Universal had this box set of different movies for different actors in them. Was one with Tom Hanks, with some of his comedies, Dragnet, The Money Pit, The Burbs, all great movies there. Richard Pryor had a collection like that, sort of John Candy, and the Michael J. Fox collection had this, and Greedy, and The Hard Way, and For Love or Money, and this was definitely the weaker of those four movies. I think The Hard Way is still really funny. For Love or Money is a very underrated Barry Sonnenfeld movie, and Greedy is probably the second to least enjoyable of that bunch, but this is definitely the one where it's just like, yeah, this one just didn't work overall. It wasn't really all that funny. It really wasn't all that clever, and I think the only reason it was a hit because Michael J. Fox was the it guy of the time period, and it was his first real comedy after the double whammy of Back to the Future and Teen Wolf 2 years prior. But I don't know. I didn't like it. I know a lot of people do, but there's a lot of better movies with Michael J. Fox in there that's worth checking out, but not this one. But so anyway, with all that said, that's the secret of my success. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie here, and that is the re-release of Disney's animated classic, The Aristocats.
Walt Disney Pictures presents a classic case of catnapping.
They're gone. That's terrible.
What's gonna happen to us?
The culprit is on the loose.
He's the catnapper.
The cats are on the run.
Everybody out of here fast.
But help is on the way.
Charge!
It's adventure, surprises, romance,
Sissy stuff.
and music.
This is outrageous. Crazy.
It's scandalous.
But most of all, it's
Quiet.
It's delightful Disney fun.
Everybody! Everybody! Everybody wants to be a cat. Everybody! Everybody! Everybody wants to be a cat.
It's Walt Disney's most cataclysmic comedy ever, The Aristocats.
Meow.
So this was a re-release, of course, of the movie that had been 17 years old up to that point, and would not get a video release until well into the mid-90s. I think it was 95 when this actually made it to video for the first time ever. But this is the re-release of The Aristocats. This is the movie where you have a family of aristocratic cats, and an alley cat acquaintance comes up around them when they try to help him out after the butler kidnaps them to gain his mistress's fortune, which was intended to go to them. And this is a movie that has a plot we've seen kind of done before. I mean, around this time we had Top Cat and the Beverly Hills Cats, which was literally the same type of storyline here. But then again, they were basically ripping off this. I mean, we've seen so many movies and shows that have tried to copy this formula to a T, but most notably about this movie, this was actually the last film that Disney himself approved before he passed away in 1966. This came out in 1970, and even though he had been working on the story development of the Rescuers in which came out in 77, he was working on it as early as 62. This was literally one of the last films he was working on before he died in 1966. But as far as one of Disney's animated classics, it really is not one of the stronger movies overall. Like I said, we've seen the story done before so many times. A bunch of animals get kidnapped by a greedy butler or a family member, or it's Cruella de Vil because they want the inheritance or they want to kill them, like that type of stuff. But You've seen the story done over and over again, but with that said, though, the film isn't terrible by any means necessary. It's a good movie. It's good animation. The comedy is still really funny. The voice acting overall is top notch. I mean, Ava Gabor as Duchess, Phil Harris as O'Malley. Of course, they were Miss Bianca and Baloo in the Jungle Book, and the Rescuers in the Jungle Book. The music overall is really good too. It's memorable songs you still think about to this very day. The characters are very likable, and if the story had been a whole lot better, this really could have been one of the great Disney classics overall. But as it is, it's still a really good movie. It's a film that you just can't help but love. I mean, it's a fun type of movie overall, and they show it on Freeform now more than ever now, and it's one of those ones when it's on TV and there's literally nothing else on, you gotta watch it because it's just one of those movies that you grew up with as a kid, and it still holds up after all these years. So anyway, that's the Aristocats. So let's go ahead and get back to some newer releases, including John Malkovich starring in Making Mr. Right.
The Ulysses Android is an amazing piece of equipment.
I'm not used to promoting hardware. I promote people.
Do you think Miss Stone has sex appeal? I think you're the most attractive woman I know.
I'm the only woman you know.
From the director of Desperately Seeking Susan,
It is that woman.
Making Mr. Right.
Opens Friday, April 10th at a theater near you. Check local listings for details.
So the story here is that you have John Malkovich, who plays a reclusive scientist who builds a robot Ulysses, which looks exactly like him, and is set to go on a long-term space mission. Since the real scientist seems to lack all emotions, he's unable to program his lack of emotions into his automaton, and an eccentric woman played by Anne Magnuson is hired to educate the robot on human behavior. In the end, she falls in love, but is it with the robot or with Mr. Right? I mean, it's a movie that has a pretty fun concept overall. You've got John Malkovich playing the scientist and also this robot, and it's really kind of clever little sci-fi comedy, directed by the same person who did Desperately Seeking Susan, and also Smithereens, and also She-Devil. And Anne Magnuson is somebody who is kind of an underrated actress when you look at the stuff she's been involved in. She's been in The Hunger, she was in Panic Room, she was in Clear and Present Danger. Most notably, she's known for Anything But Love. I'm scratching my nose there, so there's no pick. Like I'm like Jerry from the Seinfeld. There is no pick. I'm not picking my nose or anything, but yeah, I got an itch right here. See. Anyway, back to the subject at hand here. But she was somebody who she was more known for her stuff being involved on the Manhattan downtown club scene in the 1980s, but this was one of her big attempts to try to branch out, and it didn't really work out that well. The film kind of came and went, but it's a clever little concept overall, and it's not a bad movie, honestly. It actually is kind of a fun idea overall. It's fun to see John Malkovich in a different type of role like this, and I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of fun for what it is. It kind of reminds me a lot of My Demon Lover, a film that has a really good concept overall. However, I like that movie, which had a really bad climax at the end of it. This one's not quite as bad, but at the same time, it's something where I would say it's definitely worth a watch. If you're looking for a lost 80s comedy that not a lot of people know about, you might be surprised at how much you might enjoy this. This is actually kind of a good film. So let's go ahead and move on to another movie we have here, another comedy. This is Campus Man.
College kids dream of making a fortune after they graduate. Todd can't wait that long.
Custom-made shoes by satellite. You've got the entrepreneurial spirit, the burn. It's in my blood. Big plans, dreams for the future. That is a lot of money to be carrying around, CJ. 30 days, 30%. 30%?
$10,000, 30 days.
$10,000. Yeah. If anybody can pull themselves out of this, I know you can.
A lot of money for a kid like you.
Well, CJ, you'd be right if I were an ordinary kid, but I can pull this off. I'm talking about a men's calendar for women. There's going to be 12 handsome guys on the cover, one for each month. And who is more clean-cut than Brent Wilson boy dive? I am on the verge of the hottest promotional landslide this country's ever seen, and this calendar is just the beginning.
So in this movie, you have a guy named Todd Barrett, who's an aspiring businessman. He's got what it takes, but what he doesn't have is enough money to stay in college. So he cooks up a plan to make the first ever all-male sports calendar. He eventually convinces Cactus Jake, played by Miles O'Keefe, Todd Barrett's played by John Dye, a very shadowy and tough loan shark, to give him money to make the deal. Todd makes enough to pay for his education, but what about the money he owes Cactus Jack? This is a movie I've never heard of, so I don't really know, per se, if this is a good movie or not. I'm pretty sure it isn't, because it's largely been forgotten. I mean, it wasn't released by a third-party studio. This was released by Paramount. Like, this is one of the movies that they did with RKO, and yeah, if you have a movie by Paramount and nobody really ever hears of it, I mean, that's probably not a good sign for this movie going forward, even though there's some notable names in the cast as well. Kim Delaney, Catherine Wilholt, who would later go on to become Pepper Ann, Morgan Fairchild. But other than that, though, yeah, I've never seen this movie before, nor do I have any real intentions on ever checking it out. I see John Landau produced this, though. John Landau, of course, later went on to work with James Cameron on his movies, Titanic and the Avatar films. But other than that, though, I've never seen this film before, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. It probably isn't, so... With all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last film, which I have also never seen before, but I am kind of tempted by it. Ken Russell's latest film, Gothic.
Before Mary Shelley could write her masterwork of terror, Frankenstein, she had to experience it.
I have it in mind to raise the dead. Harry.
Yes, the skull of the Black Monk. His appearance was said to herald disaster.
I mean, just by the trailer alone, the imagery in that. This is the same guy that did Lair of the White Worm, which is a movie that I didn't see when I saw the trailer for the first time. I'm glad I saw it then. I'm glad I saw it because it really was actually a lot, but it was pretty good. And this one kind of looks tempting as well. You've got a fictionalized retelling of Mary Shelley and it's her husband. Mary Shelley here, played by Natasha Richardson. You have Gabriel Byrne in here, Julian Sands. And the Shelleys are visiting Lord Brian in Villa Diodati by Lake Geneva, shot in Gadsden Place. It concerns their competition to write a horror story, which ultimately led Mary Shelley to write Frankenstein, and John Pillardi, played by Timothy Spall, to write The Vampire. The same events have also been portrayed in films like Mary Shelley with Ellie Fanning as Mary Shelley, Haunted Summer in 1988 with Alice Krige, among others, and alluded to in Bride of Frankenstein with Elsa Lanchester as Mary Shelley and The Bride of the Monster. And yeah, like I said, I've never seen the movie before, but the trailer definitely has a lot of things I'm really excited to see with it, because I feel the same way I did with The Lair of the White Worm. I've never seen the film, but just that imagery alone, the creepy imagery all throughout this, kind of makes this something I kind of want to see. So hopefully I can get across to finding it somewhere. I mean, this is Ken Russell. Ken Russell, a lot of his movies overall that decade were pretty solid. Altered States, Crime of Passion, Lair of the White Worm. So I can't imagine this isn't a good movie. So yeah, not much more to say about that one. Gothic, I haven't seen it, but looks pretty tempting, so I might check it out one day. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movie's Flashback, and I'm already going to tell you right now, next week's not looking too promising, because we only have one new movie. Can't be a good movie, no. It's got to be the 4th installment of the Police Academy series, and if you've seen my other reviews for the Police Academy series, then you know... Not a fan at all. So, Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. So, we'll talk about that one. It will not be a long episode by any means necessary. And, yeah, like I said, I'm definitely not looking forward to checking out that one, but to talking about that one. But we'll do it next week. With that said, thank you so much for watching this. And if you enjoyed it, check out the previous episode. Check out the playlist. And also, don't forget to hit the buttons below. The like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell. So with all that said, I'm off. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.